Welcome to Reality Check. I'm Wang Guan. Beijing's new national security law for Hong Kong has sparked controversy and fear among many in the West, claiming that this is the end of liberty, free speech, and the autonomy of Hong Kong. Many Western politicians and commentators have not read the full text of the new legislation, much less the basic law of Hong Kong or the Constitution of China. They reached their conclusion oftentimes by watching the media, which I'm not sure if they realize can be biased. For example, during the recent Black Lives Matter movement in the United States, when violent protesters and rioters burned down police buildings, vandalized stores and public facilities, the US media called them this.
Are you stupid? You need people off the streets.
The minute someone steps in the street, blocks traffic, and breaks the law, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to go to jail.
These people are not warriors, they are vampires. They melt in the light.
Yet during the protests in Hong Kong last year, when violent rioters stormed government buildings, burned the national flag, and vandalized stores and metro stations, the US media called them this.
Pro-democracy protesters here.
Pro-democracy movement.
Pro-democracy demonstrations in Hong Kong.
Many believe these double standards are fueling misconceptions about Beijing's new security law. The law is not an all-encompassing legislation aimed at changing Hong Kong's political, economic, and social systems. Hong Kong's Special Administrative Region Chief Executive Carrie Lam made it clear that the law is not targeting freedom of speech, press, and assembly in Hong Kong, but quote, an extremely small group of people who committed national security-related offenses such as secession and terrorism, a crime punishable by law in any country.
Groups advocating Hong Kong independence and self-determination incited protesters, very often radicalized young people, to desecrate and burn the national flag, vandalize the national emblem, and storm the central government's office in Hong Kong, while others campaigned for foreign governments to interfere in Hong Kong's affairs or even to impose sanctions on Hong Kong. No central government could turn a blind eye to such threats to sovereignty and national security.
Indeed, the security law basically says Hong Kong's autonomy is important, but it is part of China, and the one country is the red line. Every country defends its national security and law and order, period. Plus, there are a number of details in this law that Western politicians probably have missed.
The legislation upholds important legal principles, such as presumption of innocence and protection of the rights of the suspect. It will have no retrospective effect. For those foreign governments or politicians raising objections to the legislation, one could only lament the double standards they are adopting. All those countries which have pointed their fingers at China have their own national security legislation in place. We could think of no valid reason why China alone should be inhibited from enacting national security legislation to protect every corner of its territory and all of its nationals.
And yet the US Senate has passed a bill placing sanctions on Chinese individuals and companies, with the US Commerce Department revoking Hong Kong's special status as a trading partner on the ground that Beijing's security law undermines Hong Kong's autonomy and freedom. But according to America's Heritage Foundation 2020 rankings, Hong Kong's economy is the second freest in the world. It was the freest a few years ago until the often violent demonstrations last year disrupted business activities and deterred investors.